Hi everybody, this is Miss Amy here, and we're going to do a really fun colored pencil project today. We are going to draw a realistic cardinal. I think they're beautiful birds, and so we're going to learn how to add some shadows with our colored pencils today. So for this project, you are going to need just some drawing paper or plain white paper. If you just have plain white paper, that will be fine. A pencil, an eraser. Make sure you have a pencil sharpener handy nearby because you may need to sharpen your colored pencils also, and some colored pencils. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on this. Let me set this aside. So when we're doing realistic, drawing realistically does take a lot of practice. But if you can start somewhere and then just continue to practice, you will improve your skills with realistic. But there are some tricks to making something look real that we'll learn today. So with this cardinal, though, it is okay to use some pictures as a reference. When I'm doing animals, I don't always remember exactly what every little detail of all the animals look like. So I often will use some reference photos to help me make sure I put the beak or the parts in the right place. Just remember never to copy something exactly and then call it your own, because this is actually another artist that took these photos. Photography is an art form, so we don't want to copy that exactly. For today, we'll be using it as a reference just to see where all the parts of the cardinal go, but that's just a little side note there. So what we're going to do is get out your paper in front of you. It doesn't matter which direction today. You can draw your cardinal in portrait direction or landscape, either way that you want to do that. So to get started, we're going to think of the cardinal in shapes. Lines and shapes is all we're drawing. And rather than thinking of the whole cardinal all at once, that kind of can get overwhelming. So if you think of it in just shapes and lines, it's a little bit easier to draw. So we're going to start with kind of near the middle of my paper. I'm going to draw, I am going to sharpen my pencil because my lead just broke. And I might need to grab another pencil. This is not let me just grab another pencil. There we go. This one isn't broken, so we'll use this one for today. Put that one aside and go ahead and use this pencil. It has a better lead in it. All right. The other pencil was a softer lead pencil, and so the lead inside the pencil was broken. So when you sharpen it, the lead just breaks off. That can happen with soft lead pencils. All right, so we're gonna start again. So I'm gonna make the small circle here for the eye of my cardinal. And then the head of the cardinal is a circle and the body is an egg shape. So if you can see in my reference photo here, see I have a circle for the head and then I have an oval for the body. So we're going to go ahead and make a circle around the eye. The eye is about the middle of the head. And I'm just going to make this light. The next lines I'm drawing are going to be light so I can erase them, because we're going to erase those circle and egg shape after we fine tune it a little bit. So then I'm going to make my oval shape, kind of like an egg, more of an egg shape than an oval. So the larger part of the egg up here and the smaller part here. And we're going to fine tune that too, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then off the back of the egg there, the back, you're going to just draw a straight line, kind of a rectangle shape. That's going to be where the tail feathers go. So, and then the legs, in my example, I made my bird like sitting on his legs. Today, I feel like I'm going to actually add some legs. So I'm going to do a line down and then angle it slightly this way, and the same on that side. and then we'll draw the details in later. There we go. All right, now on the back of the head, they have like a little crown. So I'm going to make just kind of a triangle shape on the back of the head. And then the beak on the front is a smaller triangle. So that gives us a good base to draw our cardinal off of the shapes and the lines that will create our cardinal. Now we want to fine tune it a little bit. So we want to kind of curve, connect all those lines. So we want to do a little curved line down to the body here. And I might make this a little more rounded. And then the back of the head here, we're going to curve just slightly, a little line connecting it to the egg shape here. And I'm going to make that. You can adjust. This is what's nice about making your shapes first, that you can adjust them a little as you're drawing. And then the tail feathers actually are rounded at the end. So I'm actually going to just add a couple curved lines there to represent my tail feathers for now. Maybe a little line, maybe draw them up a little bit up that rectangle there. So now, now that we've got the basic outline, we can erase all of those circles and lines inside our bird. There. And then I'm going to make this little feather on the top of the head. So I'm going to just make a little angled lines there to represent the feathers on the back of the head. All right, so let's start with the face and work our way down the bird. So we have our eye, and the cardinal has a little black mask. So I'm going to use that reference photo to see where my mask goes. But first I'm going to create my beak. So my beak is make a little triangle shape, angled line there to represent my beak. And then I'm going to draw a line to represent the opening of the beak. All right, so then I have a little mask that is a curved line from above the beak to right about the top of the eye. Stops there. And then underneath the eye, I'm going to draw a little line that comes down the neck just a little bit. And that whole area is going to be black. That's going to be that black mask of my cardinal. All right. And then I am going to adjust. This is where you can make some adjustments as you see your bird come to take shape. I just want to make it slightly smaller. I think his head just is a bit too big there. So we want to make him just a little bit smaller and less curved there. There. All right, and then for the wing, we're going to start in the kind of in the middle of the body there. We're just going to make a curved line, curve it down, and then we'll go straight back across the tail a little bit. So I curved down and then went straight over the tail. And then the other side of the wing will be above the back just a little bit, and it'll meet up with that curved line. And then I can erase anything inside there. So it was just a curved line straight back, and then kind of a line following the back and meeting up with that other line. So that gives us our wing of our cardinal. And then our feet of our legs. So this is kind of like the upper part of the leg. Probably has some feathers on it. And then the lower leg. And then it has 3 toes in the front. So I'm just doing 2 parallel lines curved to represent and then the back toe we won't see because it's going to go behind the branch. So we're not going to see that back toe. So I'm going to do 3 curved lines on this side. There we go. Curve them up just a little bit more. That's what erasers are for. Curve those up just a little bit more to make him look like he's really grabbing onto that branch. So what I'm going to do is start my branch down here at the bottom of my paper, and I'm just going to draw a line that goes right up near that where the foot and the leg meet, and then draw it through, and then draw it on the other side off my paper. So this is going to look like he's hanging on to this little branch, and then underneath his toes, I'm going to make that branch, and then I'm going to make a little fork in my branch at the end. See, now it looks like he's grabbing, and now I can kind of draw that back claw just a little bit, that back toe, just a part of it. You won't see the whole thing. You'll just see a little bit of it there. So now it looks like he's really holding on to that branch. And remember, his toes are just curved lines. They're two parallel lines. So let me flip it over here. The toe is a curved line, and then you start the other one next to it. And as you get closer to the end, they meet in a point. So and then you do your next one the same way. And then they meet in a point. And then their leg will be one more. There, see, the leg would be there, and then the back one would go the opposite direction. Just like that. We only see part of it because the branch is there. So that's how you'd make those little toes there. All right, so I believe, we want to add some more branches because we kind of want to fill our paper and make it interesting to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw some branches here, and I'm going to point them kind of down towards my bird, because what it's going to do is going to draw your eye to the bird. We want the bird to be the focus of our drawing. So I'm going to draw a branch coming down this way. And then I'm going to do a branch going up this way, kind of crossing behind it a little bit just to make it interesting to look at. This way. There. And then I'm going to draw another branch kind of to fill in over here. So I might make it more upright here behind the other one and make it go off my paper here. Behind my cardinal a little bit, and then maybe another branch here. There we go. So each time I do this, it turns out a little bit different, but that's what I like about this. So see, the cardinal is kind of now like framed with my branches all around, and so it makes it a little more interesting to look at. All right, we are done with our pencils right now, so let's get out our colored pencils. And we are going to use red, and then I have a dark red. If you don't have a dark red, you could always use like a purple or orange, not a orange. Let's see. You could use a blue, a dark blue would be okay. So I have a black. Let me check that one. That one always looks black, but it tricks me. Oh no, that's a dark blue. So if you don't have a dark red, you could always use a dark blue for some shadowing on your cardinal, and then a brown, and then an actual black. And then the sky, I use a purple, a blue, and a light blue for my sky. I like it to make it a winter sky. And then we'll probably use a little bit of white, possibly. Maybe, maybe not. So there's my colors I'm going to use today for this picture. So, green. Opposite color of red is green. Where's my brain today? Let's see, green. There we go. That's what I wanted. Is green to use as a complementary. We can add some shadowing with green over the red because it's a complementary color. All right, so to start, we're just going to go ahead and color our red on our cardinal, our regular red color. This is going to be our base color, so our entire bird except for the mask. And I don't do the legs or eyes because those will be different, but the beak gets a little bit of red here. Their beak is red too. It's really pretty. And I try to follow the lines that I drew with my pencil, following the shape of my lines. when I color in. That's going to just help it to look more realistic if you follow those shapes, those lines. So when I get down to the belly, I kind of curve it the shape of the belly. Same with the wing. You just want a nice, even color. You don't have to press down too hard. There we go. There's a little red on the legs here. And I'll color the tail. So this is just my base color of red. It's all over my Cardinal. We're going to add to this. So I'm going to use, you could use a green. I'm going to use a dark red, a darker red color. And then if my light is shining down from above here, like it's shining down, I'm going to have the lighter areas be on top of everything, the darker areas be underneath. So whenever you're drawing, you always have to consider where your light source is coming from to know where to add your shadows and your highlights. That's what's going to make it look more realistic. So underneath the beak, I'm going to add a little dark red. Bottom side of the beak, on the belly here, and these little legs here. It's going to be darker, and on the belly. Now on the edge, this is, for example, along the edge of something, I color really dark. And then as I get away from the edge, I don't put as much pressure on my pencil. Less pressure until it blends really nicely. And it goes from darker to lighter. So that's kind of how I'm doing my shading. I'm starting along my edge dark, and then as I get away from my edge, I start pressing a little lighter, using less pressure on my pencil, not pushing as hard, until it kind of blends in with the other red. And the same underneath my wing, I'm going to do that same thing, a little dark, and then as I get away from my wing, I'm going to do lighter and lighter, so it kind of blends in. Looks kind of funky on the video, but in person it looks really good. All right, so same on the tail. The wing is kind of making a shadow across the tail, and then the bottom part of the tail is a little bit darker. And then between the tail feathers, you'll have a little bit of shadow on each of those. There we go. And then on the wings, we actually have multiple layers of feathers. So I'm going to start just by adding some little curved lines here along there. Kind of shading underneath them just a little bit. And then here, there's another layer of feathers. So we can add that other layer there. Just some lines there. Doesn't have to be really detailed. It can just be the idea of feathers being there. And then using my dark pencil to create a little bit of shadow under each one. There. And then on these feathers up here too. Underneath those, and then maybe on the back of the neck just a little bit where that's creating a little bit of a shadow. You might want to add a little bit of darker red there. All right, so once we have the darker red in, we're going to grab our black really quick. We're going to add some black. We're going to color that mask in nice and black. Now with the eye, I like to leave a little white speck at the top of the eye so it looks more realistic. So I'm going to color the bottom part of the eye black and leave a little spot of white there. And then I'm going to take my dark blue here and kind of go over that black part of the eye just to make it look a little bit different than than the black mask. There we go. I'm going to sharpen this black. All right. And then I'm going to color my legs black and my toes. All right, and then where I added the dark red, I'm going to add just a hint of black. Start a little bit darker along the edge and then get a little lighter as I go in. And I'm not going to cover all my dark red, just really along where the darkest part is. Just a little hint of black, just to give it a little more darkness, a little more shadow. And when you have those dark areas that are quite dark, and we'll create some light areas in a little bit. When you have both of those, your flat bird went from being just flat on the paper to having some form, or looking a little more realistic, looking like it has some sides to it. All right. And then I also took my dark blue just a little bit, and the wing, if you noticed in the picture here, the wing's a little bit darker than the rest of the body. So I just added a little bit of dark blue over the wing. Not a lot, just a hint, real lightly colored over the wing, just to give it a little bit different, kind of a purplish red rather than red. It's just a hint of darker color there. Yeah. So on our bird, since our light is coming from the top, what we want to do is take our eraser, and where the light is hitting our bird, as you can see, even in this example, the light came from above. It's lighter along the beak and along the back of along the tail and along the top of the body of the bird. So we're going to kind of create that same thing just by erasing a little bit of our, let me try my other eraser, a little bit of our colored pencil. You don't have to erase all of it. You just want to lighten it up along that edge there. Add it, make it quite a bit lighter there. And along the tail. So there we go. I lightened it up along the tail, along the back of the wing, along the top of the head. I'm going to do that. Oops. I think I had something on my eraser there. Use my other one. Yeah, that might work a little better. A little bit along there and a little bit along my beak. Just to lighten it up a little bit. There we go. All right, now we want to work on our branches. So what you want to do is you want to fill in base color brown. And I'm not going to worry about coloring it quite as neatly as I did my bird, because you want a little bit of white kind of showing through. What that's going to do is create some highlights on your branches without even trying. So if you're kind of scribbling in your brown here and you have a little bit of white areas showing through, know where that is okay. That's a quick way to add some highlights on wood, is by just allowing some of that white paper to show through just a little bit, not a lot. You just want to do a little bit. So you want to color in all your branches. Now I may not color in this whole cardinal just because of time. So I will just show you on a couple branches here. I may not do all of them because you do it the same way for all the branches. So we'll save on time a little bit by not doing that. So once you have all your branches shaded in your brown, you're going to take some black. And you want to take some black, and the shadow is going to be on the bottom side of the branches. So I'm just going to create a little bit of shadow. Remember, it doesn't have to be super neat because this is wood, and wood has a very rough texture. And then when you get to your bird, you're going to have a little more shadow just because of the body of the bird. So it's going to cover a little more on that. And then, so I'm going to go all along the bottom of my thing, and then the bottom side of this branch, maybe even a little more on this one because it's underneath the other branch. In doing art, you really have to think through the process. Where is my light coming from? What exactly is shining, and or what's the light hitting? What is it not hitting? And it takes some practice. So when one branch is in front of the other, to help create that look, you're going to color black right on the other, the one that's behind. Right on both sides of that branch, you want to just shade it in a little bit with your black. And now all of a sudden this branch in front just sticks out more and looks like it's more in front. That's a little trick to give it some depth and look like it's actually behind the other branch. Okay, and then once I've colored in that shade, I'm just going to add some black lines in here. This is just going to help it look more like wood and that bark, that rough bark look on the branch. So I'm going to do that. They don't have to be, they can just be some random lines. See, now that looks more like a stick. So for my sky, I'm using 3 colors. I'm going to do purple, blue, a darker blue, and a lighter blue. And I want to start with my darkest color, which is purple, and I'm just going to color across. And I'm not coloring very hard. I'm just lightly coloring this in, and I'm actually going to use the side of my pencil lead just so I want it to be a nice soft look. The reason I don't want a dark sky is because the bird is the star of this picture, and I just want a subtle background. I don't want a bright colored standing out background. I just want a nice soft background. Now, if you're not wanting to add a background, you wouldn't have to. I like to. I just don't want it to stand out. So I'm going to just add some purple here, but not in a. Make sure I've got some bumps on my table here, so they're kind of coming through my paper. Hopefully your table is nice and flat without any texture under it. So when you're coloring your purple, you just want to come down, making sure that you stay behind your objects, color around them, all going in one direction though. So you see I'm going in the horizon direction. I'm coloring across my paper rather than going up and down this way. And you don't need a straight line of purple. You kind of want it to be uneven because it's the sky and it's natural, and skies are not always perfectly straight in their colors. All right, so once you've got purple, and you're going to do your dark blue, and you're going to go up into your purple a little bit. So you're going to overlap your blue unevenly up into your purple. And you're going to just fill in your blue, and you're going to go down with your blue. I go a little farther with this shade of blue, so I might come down to about here. Again, this is my table causing some texture problems on my paper. That's all that is. But you want to color that in. So I am doing this not as neatly as I did my original, because I just want to show you. Hopefully you're going to take your time and do a much neater job. So I'm going to go up into my purple a little bit. There we go. And so I want to go across my paper with my blue till I have a little bit of space left on my paper. And that's when I'm going to take my lightest blue color. And then I'm going to go up into my darker blue and then finish off the bottom of my paper. And I don't ever want to do a straight line across. I kind of want it to be random. It's going to look more natural, more like the sky that way than a straight line across. So anyway, I would fill in the rest of my paper that way. And then when you get done, you should have a more, see where I did the purple and then a blue and then a light blue. It's a little hard to tell on the video, but in person, I can definitely tell the difference in the colors. So that is all. Oh, the white. If you do want to do this, you don't have to, but sometimes I'll take white and I'll just color over, and it kind of just helps smooth it and blends everything, kind of blends my colored pencils a little bit. You don't have to do this. I didn't do it on my original one, but this can help kind of blend it in a little bit too. That's totally up to you if you want to do that. All right, there we go. That's the finished. Here's my one I did earlier. You can see it completed, but see the difference in the legs. That one is sitting and this one is standing. So I like them both. That looks really good too. So I hope you had fun with this project, and always feel free to send me a picture of your finished cardinal. I would love to see it. So thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.